views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff and management of WWDB-TV.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day. It's a new life for me, yeah. It's a new dawn, it's a new day. It's a new life for me. Woo, woo, woo. And I'm feeling good.
Welcome to Good Medicine. I'm Counselor Holly Davis in Las Vegas, and I have a panel on WWDB-TV Las Vegas. We're here every week on Good Medicine, and Good Medicine is a program that's healing the soul, and I really think today is going to be a soul healer for a lot of people. I've got some amazing people on this panel today, and what I want to do is I just want to go around the panel. I want everybody to introduce themselves and tell me what you do. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
My name is Oliva Alvarez, and I make my own products, beauty products.
Nice.
That's what I do. I have 3 wonderful kids, and I just have a home-based business.
Very nice. Thank you.
My name is Michelle, and I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, as well as a licensed drug and alcohol counselor. Mother of 7, I also have a vaginal steaming boutique here in Las Vegas.
Entrepreneur.
Did you say a vaginal steam?
Vaginal steaming boutique.
Her V Steam, if there's anybody interested out there, okay? Because I just want to talk about that for 1 second. We got to plug this because you and the co-creator, the ladies that came up with this, they started it because the lady who started it and came up with this idea, Sharonda, she started doing the V Steam because it helped her with cramps and so many different things. There's so many benefits, and it changed her life, so she wanted to offer that for other ladies. So it's her V Steam. It's in Henderson, and it's Michelle's business. So she's an entrepreneur mama. So,
Mama
yeah.
of 7.
Of 7. I had to plug that. She's got more kids than me. The only person I know that has more children than I do.
I'm Lauren Kepler, and I am a lifestyle, food, and body image coach. I host a weekly podcast called the All or Something Living Podcast, which is just all about finding the gray area in health and happiness and not being so extreme. And then I have an online course, Vibrancy on Demand, where I teach people how they can feel good and get more energy and take good care of themselves.
And she's a student, and every time I talk to her, she's busy, she's running. And by the way, last week's program, Body Image 1, the Body Love Guide, Lauren is the author. And so you offer that on your website for free for anyone?
I do, yes. LaurenKepler.com. That's where you can find all my podcast episodes, blog posts, and everything else.
So LaurenKepler.com. Go get that Body Love Guide because I loved it. I thought it was written beautifully, and I'm going to share it, and I'm always going to quote you. I'm not going to steal your stuff, even though it was brilliant, and I want to take it.
You did a really good job of representing it, too. I watched it, and I was like, yes, exactly what I was hoping from that. So Thank you.
Thank you. By the way, Laura and I met at a party, okay, the week before all this happened. So weird. And we were sitting on a couch. What were we talking about?
Body
image. Body image. Nerd in the corner.
Nerd in the corner.
That was us.
Beautiful. And my name is Hector Romero. I was born and raised in Las Vegas, Nevada. What I currently do is I am a healing hairstylist. I'm also a shaman realtor, and they also know me as the brujo or the witch for the town. So one of my most recent projects that I'm currently working on is my sacred hair bath ceremonies, which it hasn't really ever been done. And if you really think about it, a sacred hair bath is actually a ritual bath that's designed for bringing in truly caring for your hair, your scalp, and your crown, and reconnecting you to the divine. In a sense, it's a really amazing baptism without the dogma attached to it. So that's one of my most recent projects that I'm currently working on.
I love it. That's awesome.
So cool.
That's beautiful.
Hair bath ritual.
Hair bath ritual. Who wants one of
Yes,
those?
Hair bath ritual. So that event will be held on November 16th, which is a Saturday. So that one has a really in-depth meaning of that day. So I added up I'm a really big on numbers and everything like that. So the day adds up to 3, so it's an ascended master's number. And on top of that, it's a full moon week, so her energies will still be prevalent amongst all of us during that time frame. So our intuitions and our subconscious and our conscious minds will be still working, full thriving through all of that week. And the moon will be in Cancer, and our father sun will be in Scorpio, which are both water signs. Therefore, we will have a much more heightened level of intuition. It'll be a transformative energy for metamorphosis, transformation, and it will also be a great incline of volcanic sexual energy, which is also creative energy. And you can do tremendous healing through that type of energy as well.
I love that.
So-
The creative energy, the sexual energy, that sexual energy is all about creation
Yes, 100%.
and intention. I love the intention that you have behind that. So if somebody wants to come to that, or if someone's interested, where would they get the information?
They can go to my website at ermakeovers.com.
ermakeovers.com. Okay, thank you. And I've never met Hector before, so this is just
Yes, it's all new for her.
It's all new.
We met through social media. Coincidentally, somebody tagged her because I was looking for therapists with hair inside it. And she happened to be tagged in it, and that's how we connected. Yeah.
so it's nice to meet you.
Yes, pleasure.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay.
Short summary, my name is Ivy Evans. I'm a tech entrepreneur. I just left my last company recently. I'm moving into consulting. I like helping people start and improve their businesses. I get really excited about people trying to move mountains, and I like to help them. And I guess I would also add, outside of just tech, I also have this slight obsession with trying to bridge, like the living world, like biology and our spirituality, and finding ways that we can bring tech and those two things together. Because I think very much in my industry there's kind of a shame that comes along with having any sort of belief in anything, or the I don't know. I'm a hippie. if I'm summing it up.
We love hippies. But you know what I love about, and I think everybody represents this really well here, because today we're talking about image, and I think trying to think that we're just this stuff is such a farce, and I think we're all over it, and we're all way above that. We're all past that. It's insulting our intelligence. And I think that we're at the point where I think most people on social media, which is an illusion, it's not the real world, we all know that image and what I'm projecting is nothing compared to what my soul is. I'm 90% soul and 10% body, and it's waxing and waning every day, and ebbing and slowing, and I'm losing that vivaciousness every single solitary day, because that's what we're born to do. And it's something that we just don't talk about ever, right?
Yeah.
Ever. I don't know if we have, we do, because we're all like that on the couch at the party. And that's why I invited every one of you. And also I wanted to represent a multicultural mix of people. I know I can't represent everybody perfectly, so if I didn't, get your own show. Talk to John on WWDB-TV. But I did it the best that I could for you guys. Came together really quick, too. And everybody said emphatically, yes, I will do this and represent and talk about image. And I think we can't just talk about what we see on Facebook, because I had a guest a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about death. Another thing nobody likes to talk about. And what we were mentioning was that she noticed that there was an incline in a study, incline in deaths, suicides, because we're looking at the pervading media, and it's all these Facebook and Instagram of how great my life is and how great I look every day. I woke up like this, and that is just so not true. Mm-hmm. It's just so not true, right? I did actually take 5 minutes to get like this, but most of the time, most of us have to do something, right? To get ourselves to represent and put an image out there. And so I just put out there on social media, what is image? And some of the things that people responded were really, really interesting. I want to start with Ivy, because when I asked her what image was, her response for me, and I had hundreds of responses, was the most touching, amazing response. And I have that response unless you do. Do you have it?
I don't have my phone with me.
Okay, well, you know what? I have right here.
I didn't want to be the girl that, comes onto the set with the phone.
With a phone.
You're allowed to do that.
You're
'cause
that
the
girl.
host.
Yeah.
You know what?
You're allowed.
We had one more as well that I thought was really, really interesting, but I want Ivy to read this because I thought it was one of the best, okay? So, can someone pass that down to Ivy, please? Thank you.
There you go.
All right. So I wrote this really quick, and I didn't post it, mostly because I was like, I should write a blog post. I want to save this.
We should have gone.
But I can say now, nearing the 3-year mark, that I've made a ton of progress to the point that the biggest hurdle I face is my self-image. Speaking as a trans woman, I constantly battle myself in the way I perceive myself versus the way others perceive me. I'm at a point now in my life where being misgendered no longer hurts me, but I can't say it doesn't give me a bit of cognitive dissonance. On a good day, I look in the mirror and I see a lady. On the worst day, I see a man in a dress. I can say now that I have more good days than bad, but it's interesting to see how these conflicting views show up in my dreams. I'd say that about half the time, I'm who I am at present. Nice makeup in a dress. And the other half, I'm that guy that nobody's seen since I started my transition. If I were to sum things up, though, I'd say confidence and happiness comes from working to change what's within your control and accepting what isn't.
Beautiful. I have no words.
And then the last line I wrote. Kind of an underwhelming insight, right?
Not at all.
at all.
Not at all. So many things that, as a counselor, I want to dissect this. Like, do you? Michelle, I want to hear what you have to say.
You want my definition of what image is? I think it's comprised of 2 things. It's just the way you look and the way you feel. For me, the way you feel is bigger than what you look like, to sum it all up.
I think you look how you feel.
Exactly.
And when you feel like crap, and you feel like you look like crap, right? Do you think that's, usually when we feel like crap, it's because we don't feel healthy, or we've done something that we knew wasn't healthy, or we have these other things, these extracurricular things that are outside of our control, and that's other people. Don't other people get our goat and get us down so easily? I mean, I'll be the first to say, my dad can, say something, like, I can't even tell you what he said to me this week.
Oh, you can tell us.
Oh, no.
That image.
It's an image thing, I can't. But, just somebody mentioning something to you, or even a look, right? We get a look and we're like, but it's how do we, and what I heard in your story was that we have this tango that we go back and forth. Sometimes I'm feeling super strong, and then in a second I'm like this. And that's kind of what I picked up in your message.
Yeah, it's definitely something that you always have to be constantly aware of, especially if you're in my situation. And the funny thing about transitioning, and what I've heard people say, is transitioning is like getting a master's or a PhD in gender studies. Like, you just start noticing all of these really interesting, things with body language, with like voice, with, just very, very subtle things that you don't notice until you actually start to kind of observe people in like a way or in a lens that like you wouldn't see before.
Well, then you're a specialist.
Maybe I'm just a weirdo because I always pay attention to those little subtleties.
Before it.
Well, in general, I just think it's always interesting to see the way the average person or any bypassers or anything, how they interact with one another. It's quite interesting.
Have you done this for a long time, or
Yeah.
Before you started?
Oh, before
getting
I even got into beauty, I would always just sit down and just observe people, the way they interact with each other. And coming from a spiritual standpoint, it's also intriguing because then you're also able to pinpoint, for me particularly, like what possible traumas they may have endured for them to act a certain way. Or also the way they sit, the way they hold themselves up, the way they walk, the way they hold their chest out, the way they hunch over, all of those are really small subtleties that you're able to pinpoint what's really going on with the person. So maybe I'm weird in that sense, but I'm able to pick up those kind of nuances. Yeah, reader. Really just read the energy of the person. And then when I really interact with the person, then I'm really able to get a full spectrum of the person.
No, I think that's interesting because I do a homework assignment for my clients. I ask them to go people watch because usually one of the first things we work on is self-love. And the minute I say that, they're like, you know,
Cringe.
right? We don't learn it in Sesame Street or in kindergarten or anything else. I don't remember Self-Love 101 anywhere. And so what I've learned, I share with others. So I'm like, I want you to go people watching, and I just want you to see how people hold themselves, right? And I want you to see the one with the sour face and hate life. And then I want you to see, if you get to see one of these unicorns, if you see one that's got their shoulders up, shoulders back, and they're maybe enjoy life just a little, okay, go to Walmart and go to the super Walmart where the McDonald's is and get a coffee and sit in the corner. It's the best people watching ever, okay, or the airport. And I just want
Or
you to
the
see.
beach.
Or the beach.
beach, right.
The beach.
The beach.
The beach is a really, really good one. The beach is a good one. A nude beach would even be better, but hey, let's just stick with the beach.
Miami.
And I just want you to see, and if you, because we don't really see it on media. I think, if you're watching programs or, MTV Cribs, I always say that one because I don't watch a lot of television, so I always go back to Kardashians and MTV Cribs. That's how far back I haven't watched television. I have a lot of kids too. So, but when you see it on television, I don't really think it hits the mark, right, on what's true and what's real life. So when you're out people watching and you get to see the real thing, but every once in a while you'll see one of those unicorns that they do, you can tell there's some self-love, self-care, self-worth, and it beams out of that person. So this isn't just the image, it comes out. So I've got a question for all you guys on the panel, okay? So what is self-image?
It's how you see yourself, how you look at yourself. I think that, how do you, when you look in the mirror, what do you see? It's the same, it's that transition, is that thing, whether you like yourself one day or you don't like yourself one day. One day you look super hot, you feel, ooh, I look so young, and then another day, it's like, oh my God, I look so old, or, oh, when is this tummy gonna be gone, I mean, self-image is how you see yourself. I think it's in your mind, and, and those are the things that we have to, battle and I don't know what I want or what I want to say.
I think battle is the word of the day. It's a battle. I think every human being with skin on has the same battle. So, Michele, self-image.
So for me, it's the way I feel. I get up. If I get up early and I feel like crap, I kind of feel like I look like crap. But if I feel like, I've gotten all my vitamins in, I've got my 8 hours, I got up on time, and my schedule's going great, I just feel beautiful for some reason. So for me, it's the way I feel.
I can't wait for my comeback question on that one. I'm going to start. I can't wait. So what happens on the day you had 7.5 hours and, you didn't get those vitamins and there's kids everywhere?
So what I do is I formulate a plan for that not to happen the next day.
Okay.
So I'm particularly really, really into self-love. So I do things that make me feel good. I go to the gym, I work out, I do yoga. I get massages. I shop at healthy food places. That makes me happy. So for me, for the most part, I do things consistently to make me feel happy, which in return makes me feel beautiful.
So not just one time, every once in a
Nope.
while on a blue moon or whatever this moon is on the 13th. It's a biggie. It's a baddie. It's a baddie. On blue moon, I take care of myself. It has to be a discipline.
Absolutely.
A practice.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
It's habit forming for me
Yes.
since I was a little girl.
So, okay, I'm sorry. I'm gonna go here.
Do what you gotta
Okay.
do.
So it's just sheer curiosity about human beings. I'm so curious about humans. I just have all these questions. So, what about the days that, you're just not, because you won't, and I know you're going to try the next day to start back in that discipline to get to bed on time and have the vitamins and ohm it out. But on the days that you don't, what is your go-to?
I just kind of fake it till I make it. I kind of just tell myself I'm feeling great, or I look great, or I feel amazing. And then for some reason, it just slowly starts to happen, you know?
I love it.
I'll add to that. So here's the reason why it actually works. Your mind can't tell the difference between what you're feeling physically and what's really going on in your mind. So if you're telling yourself you're actually working out, guess what? You're working out. If you tell your mind that you're actually eating something healthy, you're eating something healthy. So it's really a perception of what you're telling yourself internally. So then you're already you're going into that shift, that energetic shift within your mind, and then from there it just unfolds.
Absolutely.
So instead of beating yourself up for that Star Crunch, which I had one the other day, it is not like it used to be back in the day. They used to be
Star
so
Crunch?
delicious. I know.
What is that?
Well,
Star
that's
Crunch?
what I
Oh.
it's like
Never
Star
heard of this
Crunch.
before.
I didn't bring it into the house. You know who you are, who did. But anyways, I had one of those. And I really do the same thing. I bless it to the nourishment of my body. And
100%.
and also I read the book The Power of Rhonda Burns, who wrote The Secret. And she's like, I'm just grateful and thankful of things that I eat or that I love. I love the things that I love, and I don't beat myself up. And I think that's the number one thing that I work with my clients is stop beating yourself up, because it doesn't make you feel prettier or better or make that burger go away. Whereas I think the opposite, where I'm just happy and blessed and grateful and thankful for the things that I have in my life and don't beat myself up when I'm a human, and I feel better about it. And I have a really good quote about guilt. I came up with this myself, but it's so true, is that people want to feel bad because they think it'll make them feel better. If I just feel guilty about this Star Crunch, then I'll just feel better that I'm eating it. And the opposite is true. It's like, okay, that was I know better. It wasn't that tasty, and I was hoping that would bring back 11th grade, but it didn't. Okay, body image, self-image.
Self-image. I definitely think it's a mixture between the surface level, and a lot of it is below surface. So a lot of it is how, like you said, how you're showing up for yourself. But not just in like the taking care of yourself. I think that's definitely a big portion of it, but also how are you speaking to yourself? How are you betraying yourself by making promises to yourself that you don't follow through with? Are you feeling guilty often? Are you numbing out because you don't want to face the person that you are? All of it comes together to create this image that we have of ourselves. And often when that image is not so great is when we're lying to ourselves about something, or when we are betraying ourselves. Often we're doing things like when we're saying yes to others when what we really want to do is say no. A lot of that comes into play, and it's just waking up every morning. And if I did have a morning where, say, I didn't take my vitamins or work out or whatever, or maybe I wasn't feeling great about what I saw in the mirror, I would move on, because it's about more than that. And I think a lot of people say, well, tomorrow's a new day or whatever, but and that's great too. And I also think that in every moment you have an opportunity to choose again. So maybe I miss my morning workout, but then I'm like, I tune in and I say, what does my body need right now? I think right now I need to look within and I need to do some journaling. And I move on and I do that. And all of those choices that I make from moment to moment on a daily basis put together my self-image.
I love it. I love the idea of listening to myself. I believe that's a very lost art as well, like tuning in. And I use this example all the time too. It's a really bad one, but how often do you don't go to the bathroom? You know you need to pee. You needed to pee 5 hours ago. You didn't do. I don't know if it's just a multiple mother thing. I don't know. But you just keep going and you keep going. You don't listen, right? Or, oh, it's too much time. I don't want to take that much time for myself to just have a break for a second or get water. Just I'm thirsty.
Or eat. When we learn to diet, we're taught to do the opposite of what our body seems like it wants, and that's where we really get out of touch with ourselves.
Oh, and that's a huge one, because on this panel, it's the same thing. One of my friends said, I'm stuck in this challenge, this not listening to myself. Do I eat that Star Crunch? I'm sorry, I'm going to be using this one. Do I eat that Ho-Ho? Do I eat that Twinkie? Or do I deny myself? What's the balance?
Well, I think that it definitely helps when what people often do is they just feel like it's a bad decision, and when we think we're making a bad decision, we numb out. So we decide, I'm going to eat it, then I'm going to beat myself up for it. I'm not going to. So you don't even get the opportunity to enjoy it. Then you're like, well, I might as well eat another one, and you keep going.
Right.
But the option, what you can also do when you're deciding, do I eat this or not, is you tune in and you ask yourself, I mean, there's a lot that comes into play with this question. What else have I eaten today? Have I eaten anything that's going to help my blood sugar not spike from this so that I feel like crap afterwards? Or what is my reason for eating this? Am I feeling emotional right now, and this is the way that I'm coping? And emotional eating is something that gets a bad rap, but it's often just a coping mechanism. That's all it is. And so as long as you're consciously deciding, there are times where I'm like, I know I'm emotionally eating, I'm going to choose to eat this anyway, and then I'm going to move on with my day. And sometimes you will choose the Star Crunch, sometimes you won't. But no matter what, you never beat yourself up for that choice, and you just move on.
I love that. Never beat yourself up. We're going to take a small break, and we're going to come back and we'll hear from the rest of our panelists about body image. Stay with us on Good Medicine.
I'm feeling good. Fish in the sea, you know how I feel. River running free, you know how I feel. Blossom on the tree, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me, and I'm feeling good. Dragonfly out in the sun, you know what I mean, don't you know? Butterflies all having fun, you know what I mean. Sleep in peace when day is done, that's what I mean. And this old world is a new world and a bold world for me.
Welcome back to Good Medicine. I'm Holly Davis. I have a wonderful panel of amazing, beautiful people inside out, and today we're talking about body image. And this is part 2. So we're going to start on this end of the table because we left off with Lauren about what is body image, and I want to go to Hector now. Body image or just image in general?
Image in general. All right. So looking at it from a much larger scale, when we look at image, it's quite relative to beauty, coming from a hairstylist standpoint. One of the oldest models that I always go by is beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And did Creator not make us beautifully perfect within her image? So when we look at that, now we're really looking at ourselves from labels. We're looking at ourselves from a label standpoint. Other people we create a certain persona for ourselves, but then there's a different persona, there's a different facet of ourselves in everybody's mind, in everybody's eye, theoretically speaking. So if you really think about it, I just interacted with you, so you guys only know me in this current facet of myself. So you really have a certain type of image of myself. I see myself differently, my parents see me differently, so that's a completely different facet. My friends, my coworkers, my clients, they all see me within a completely different type of image. So when you look at image, it's very, very vague. It's an art form. And art is very, very subjective, and it comes in multiple different manners, to be honest with you. And then if we really understand the concept of self-acceptance more than anything and self-love, then we'll no longer really have to worry about our own self-image. You would just accept things for what they are rather than what they should have been or could have been. So then you're able to move beyond that. You no longer have to be saddened by little things such as like nutrition, for example, how your hair looks, how your face looks, how the wrinkles on your face looks. You're now looking at things from how things are falling into place, and then you start to look farther away from the mirror, and you're able to see the better picture of everything, as opposed to looking so close into the mirror.
Right, and that's what we do. We pick ourselves apart, and I mean, most people don't zoom in on you. As a matter of fact, your son Justin, who is an amazing photographer, Justice, I'm sorry. Justice, he's the one that said, because he is really a great photographer. What's his
The Grand Life.
The Grand Life. He's a great photographer, and he's like, people don't zoom in on you.
Yeah.
You're the only one that does that. Do you guys don't zoom in on other people, do you?
I do.
I do.
I personally do.
I do.
I don't.
Justice, you're wrong. Making peace with your body, and Lauren is the one, it's where I got that information, is making peace with your body. And she also has a really cool little emoji that I want to share too at the end of this program. Is making peace with your body is, I really think, a beautiful practice. And you also mentioned in the Body Love Guide, it's not something that you look in the mirror and go, wow. You learn, and you might say, okay, not perfect, who is, but I'm learning. I'm going to just, at least today, just have peace with this today. So I love that concept. Okay, body image or just image in general?
I definitely don't have anything else to add on body image, but we could talk self-image. Actually, one thing that you were saying kind of reminded me. I mean, we're 100%, the product of our experiences. That's largely what's responsible for who we are, how we feel, the image we project. When I think about, the times where I've had to confront that, I think when I started my first company, and it was like, working, was when I suddenly had to confront imposter syndrome. I'm sure, like, as founders of companies and your own consultancies and businesses, like, there's got to be a moment where you're thinking, what am I doing right now? I have, like, people are, like, looking at me like I'm, like, a mentor, or like I'm successful, or like I'm doing well. And I'm like, I don't have a clue what I'm doing. Somebody help me.
Yes.
And that's what, like, the first couple of years feels like, right?
Yes.
All the time.
And some people, they never, like, really look at it in the eyes and see it as your own inexperience, and accept that you don't know everything. You don't necessarily have somebody that you can reach out for everything who's going to be able to hold your hand through this. You just have to just go and figure out what's going to happen. And I think that overcoming that fear, that inadequacy, that you think that you're not good enough, is accepting that you're not. No one is. The only way that you really push past this is to accept that you want to be that you in the future, and you're getting there, right? So self-image, and I think, like, almost most problems that people face are entirely in their own psyche. It's 100% like who you believe you are is just that image that you project out to everybody. Like, when you're feeling, like, hot and you, like, go out somewhere, and, like, that like confidence that you're beaming with,
Right.
like, everyone sees it.
Exactly.
And they believe it.
That's true.
But in the same token, when you're out there and your dress is, like, a little too tight or a little too short, and you're doing this the whole time, they see that too, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
People and kids are the authentic meters. Like, when you are, you're not
scare me.
feeling it, they
Yeah, they do.
they are scary.
They ask questions, and they look at things from a perspective that you wouldn't think. Like, we're in a co-working space, and and somebody brought their kid in, and her son was like, "Why are your tables so far apart?" We're like, "What?" Just, like, asking, like, questions like that, and you start reading into it, and you're like, huh, like, maybe our teams, like, we're, as, like, co-working together, we're, like, working really far apart, and because we were just talking about, like, yeah, like, it's really great to be here together with everybody. And I'm like, but why are you, like, all the way over there?
Yeah, see, kids don't see that, right? Kids are like this, right? You ever meet kids? They're like, it doesn't matter. My son, I just dropped him off in 2nd grade, and he can't wait to go find his little friend. That they just walk around the playground together, and she is really cute, little redhead. She's adorable. So cute. But they just, I don't know if they look at the beauty or the image or the outside. They just know people they like and want to play with. They want to play with everyone, right? There's no exclusion, right? And if they see somebody that's different than them, kids are curious. They just want to ask, like, what's going on, right? Whereas adults were like, don't look at me, don't ask me questions, and we don't give eye contact. You know, if we continue on with that watching people, you ever go to the mall and people are doing this, number walking? They're not even looking at each other anymore. You can't even get eye contact to smile because they're doing this. Tony and I'm not peopling today. Don't look at me today. I want to say hi. Hey, what's up? Okay, so time that you ever felt like someone put you down.
Put me down. I want to say like grade school. Like people don't really do that, or at least like not in a way that isn't really easy to see through, right?
Right.
I don't know. I'm probably the worst person to ask about that one. I don't think people's words really hurt me. YouTube comments, though.
Sorry. That left an indelible mark. Okay, I love what you said. Remember a time when someone said something that really hurt you.
So first, let me narrow in a little bit more on acceptance. So it gets tossed around a lot, but I feel like a lot of people don't really know what it truly means. Acceptance is just letting things be for what they are. They just are. You don't really have to think about it. You just let it be. That's really what acceptance is. And with regards to me, when I have to being put down, that actually gives you insight on yourself. Why? That's a trigger, for one. So it's triggering you for learning more about yourself. And a lot of people don't like being in those uncomfortable situations because they don't want to learn more about themselves. But what they rather do is just let that emotion pass them by. So guess what just happened? You just missed your opportunity to learn something valuable about yourself so that you no longer have to experience that same interaction or situation again. And then there enters that moment of bliss, that moment of acceptance. Self-acceptance, self-realization, and then you just start to truly just be who you are.
Nailed it. Except for stop
Yes.
doing that. Okay, you nailed it. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. I love that, not just letting things roll off, but if you're actually to do some self-inventory, a fearless moral inventory, and really do some searching and looking, I really think people would see much more power and much more beauty than they would ever see any of the grotesque ick or any of that other stuff. And when we do see those things, it's okay to accept and look at those things and just and process it and make peace with it. And I love that. But I really do believe that people, when they start looking at the acceptance factor, I really think that you're gonna see your power. And I believe people are afraid
Yes.
of their power. It's scary when you really know what you're made of. You know, so that's beautiful. Goosebumps. Lauren, remember a time, an indelible mark that somebody left?
Well, I agree with what you say, and I also believe that that's something that we can notice. I think that's more for the adult. As we get older, the kind of comments that we get. I think when it starts younger, though, and we don't have that perception or that image, or we're just basically a blank slate. And then that's when the things that people tell us are maybe not so much a moment of, I need to reflect on this. It's like pure like meanness, or they don't know what they're talking about or where they're coming from, or maybe they're not trying to be hurtful. So it's, I mean, there are different versions of it, or some people that are hurt that are lashing out on others, like they say, hurt people. Sometimes it has nothing to do with you and more to do with them. All that being said, it brings me to how I got to where I am today when it comes to body image, and why I feel like it's such a calling for me to help people. And it's still hard for me to even talk about this stuff because I struggled so long with it. And so one of the youngest memories that I have is being in elementary school, and all my friends were little thin blonde girls who the boys started to develop crushes on. And I noticed that I was being passed over, and I didn't understand why that was. And still, my young, innocent mind was like, well, why don't I just ask the boys out? So I kept doing that.
I love it.
But then they kept saying no, and I was still just like, what am I doing wrong? And one day I was on the playground out by myself, like I did often, just like playing with bugs and stuff. And my friends that knew I had a crush on this guy come running up to me giggling, and they're like, "Hey, Lauren, so and so said he'd go out with you." And my face lit up. I was so excited. And they were like, "If you lose some weight."
Oh.
And then that's the moment where I realized, like, it still sticks with me because that was when I realized, or that's when I first came up with the idea that my weight determined my worth. And then that just continued to be something that defined me for a really long time.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
That's an amazing story. Again,
It's hard to tell.
goosebumps. Well, you know, something I want to address with that is because I hear something very similar to that a lot. You know, like I'm not the you know, whatever the ideal image is on social media, let's just put it that way, kind of a thing. And I actually love that, and that's what I tell my kids when they're like, well, so-and-so doesn't want to be my friend or whatever. I'm like, you know what, maybe they just don't know how to be a friend. I want you to just say, well, I'm still your friend, so when you come back tomorrow, I just want you to know I'm still going to be your friend. And I want you to know that not everybody's going to be attracted to a lot of light. Sometimes we're just shining a little too bright, you know, and that's when they're throwing the shade. And I think it's okay to be different and not exactly like everybody else is. But I loved your story. Thank you for sharing. Michele.
So for me, I'm biracial. My father is Greek and my mom is black. And I just remember as a kid, being in elementary school, having a bad day one day, and I overheard some kids talking about me. And they were like, oh, she just doesn't know if she's black or white. And so I'm just like, really? Do I have to choose? You know? And I went home to ask my mom because she was my biggest fan. And she said, you know what? You don't have to choose. You just are. You know, you're just Michele. So at a very, very young age, my mom taught me how to love myself and how to accept myself for who I am, which is just Michele. I didn't have to choose whether I was Greek or black. I was just a human being. And for me, that stood in my mind, and I feel like that helps me to love other people for just who they are. Not because of what they look like or what their cultural background is. It's just because you're Holly, you know, or Hector. You know, so my mom taught me that from very young, and I feel that it's really important just to accept yourself for who you are, which is a loving, kind being, if that makes sense.
No, I love that. Who instead of who are you, who do you be? Just being, you know, I love that. That's great. Oliva?
Ay, ay, ay. Let's see. Well, I think growing up, funny thing, but so I have family in Mexico, and I was born on this side. And I think that they can be the cruelest because they don't see you as fully Mexican, you know, and you're over here and you're like, what are you, you know? And there was like a lot of confusion, you know, and those times, you know, and I would be mocked, and, you know, because I couldn't speak Spanish, you know, eloquently, or, you know, they would always, oh, not even in English nor in Spanish can you say things, you know? And it was like, so, you know, needless to say, I mean, it was a really hard time, you know, and other factors that played in as far as knowing who I was as a person, as a, you know. And it's funny, I get kind of emotional, because it's not until now that I am finding who I am, and that I'm beautiful no matter whether I'm Mexican or I'm not, or whoever. It's me, and I'm beautiful. I know who, you know. It doesn't matter what I look like. It doesn't matter if I speak Spanish, and, you know, it doesn't matter anything. It's how I perceive myself, me, how Oliva sees herself. That's how I.
The rare pearl.
The rare
Spanglish
Pearl.
is okay with me.
My name is Oliva Pearl. So
Pearl is very rare, beautiful. Yeah, I love it. Thank you for sharing. We are going to take a small break, and we come back from the panel. I want you guys to give some of your best resources, your best tools that we can just throw at the audience today on good medicine. So stay with us.
I would be disgusted with the woman that I saw in the mirror. As a young model, my confidence was tugged at and pulled in all different directions. I struggled to achieve true confidence. I was already labeled the fat model, the girl who was pretty for a big girl. Only 2% of women find themselves beautiful. 2%. I felt freed once I realized I was never going to fit a narrow mold that society wanted me to fit into. It's true. I honestly love my cellulite, my rolls, the inner part of my thighs that jiggle and touch. It's gorgeous. We need to start looking beyond the exterior of a woman. And we need to start looking at her for what she's doing, who she is. Because I, like so many young women, struggled to love the woman I saw inside of the mirror because of society's narrow vision of beauty. It's true, I wasn't able to love and embrace my hips and my weird shaped butt and the cellulite on my thighs, and I wasn't. Not until I loved the woman within. And once that happened, my career, my success, my drive, it all began to follow. I became my own role model. No one else was to have that job. My body, like my confidence, has been picked apart, manipulated, and controlled by others who didn't necessarily understand it. And once I reclaimed ownership over my body, I understood that there was a greater purpose as a woman. Never let anybody tell you you can't. I have achieved and I am still achieving what was seemingly impossible. Be real. Be authentic. Be your favorite kind of woman. Don't let anybody else take that job. And remember, you are bold, you are brilliant, and you are beautiful. There is no other woman like you because you are your own kind of woman. If anything, remember this: be you.
Hello and welcome back to Good Medicine. I'm Counselor Holly Davis. Oliva, Michelli, Lauren, Hector, and Ivy are my amazing panel of guests, professional, amazing panel that have had an amazing contribution today, left an indelible mark in my life, and I want to thank each and every one of you for being here and pulling this together so fast and so willing to share your truth. Now, this next portion of this panel is going to be quick answer on the fly, and I'm going to start with Ivy. What would you do if you needed to cheer somebody up who was feeling down about themselves?
Ooh, I thought you were going to ask us for the list, not ask us
Sorry.
pointed questions. What was the question again?
What would you do if you needed to lift somebody up who was feeling down about themselves?
Okay, I would talk to them, ask them what their deal is. I would be very nice about it, obviously. But I don't know. There's a different thing to do for every kind of situation, you know. And also, people want different things. When it comes to, you know, a friend helping them, right? Some people just want you to say, you know, I'm really sorry that happened, like, I'm here for you, and give them a hug. Other people want advice, you know? It's different strokes for different folks, right?
True.
Like, and I think, like, the biggest, like, arguments or disagreements with friends is when you aren't speaking the same language of, or with, like, a significant other of, like, I just wanted you to say, like, I'm sorry that sucks, like, let's go get dinner. not you know, start telling me what to do, like.
Yes. So true.
Beautifully well said. Beautifully well said. So you have a client who comes in and is like, I'm ugly, please fix me. What do you say? What's the first thing you do?
I first throw out a joke. I tell them, this is a comb, not a wand. That's always my go-to. And then from there, I really just work my magic at that point. I rarely have anybody sit in my chair that comes in with that type of mentality, since the way I carry my entire business is more spiritually driven more than anything. So if I were to have somebody like that, then I start to dissect things. But then I ask them, do you want me just to listen? Do you just want to vent? Or do you need advice? And then from there, then I decide what it is that I can offer them from there, whether it's something as additional services or it's something that I can just offer right on the spot throughout the entire hair session, really. But they're initially there to get their hair done.
Now, are you really good about just all out truth, like that hair is no bueno? Do you ever just let them know? So give them the gift of honesty, because some people don't know. They need to know.
I consider hair to be actually a living aspect of ourselves. I don't consider it to be separate from ourselves. I mean, after all, it is attached to our auric field. It's within our aura. So I consider it to be actual fabric. So it is fabric. Hello. They make stuff out of fur. They stuff pillows with fur, with feathers, even though they shouldn't. But it's fabric, essentially. And it contains so much information in there. You're really able to break it down and see what this person has gone through, how they treat their hair, how their relationship is with their hair. And it really tells you how they are about themselves. How you wear your hair tells a lot how they carry themselves and who they are.
Everybody's looking. John?
I know I need to go see my lady.
So, okay, I love that. And I'm sure you break that down for them and explain that to them, because it would really, if, I'm touched, I'm like, wow, what do I do? I just try to go natural. I don't try to fight this. I really don't.
And that's where I revolve myself more around too. So more of a vegan organic color line. I try to use more like apple cider vinegar rinses, essential oil proprietary blend hair washes, more of the natural aspect more than the chemical, especially if it's something that I'm going to be in longer. Then I need to watch out for myself as well, because I'm exposed to it more often than they are.
I love that.
You're putting it on your head, for crying out loud. Come on now. I'm like, it's some form of penetration is going to happen there.
Yeah, and it's sacred. You're right.
It's sacred, 100% sacred.
I feel the same way. If someone's going to spend time with me and I'm going to have somebody, with me for that long doing my hair, I want it to be somebody that I would like to talk to, that I appreciate their input. So I love where you're going with this, and I love the entrepreneurial path, finding spirit that you're doing this, and we need a lot more. We need a lot more of that.
Your body's a temple, and so is your hair.
Yeah. Lauren, someone comes up to you, you're coaching or whatever, we're at a party. I think I said the same thing as, no, maybe I don't know what I said. I don't know. I just remember meeting you, and you're an amazing person. And somebody's, this is what we were saying. This is killing me. This is what we were saying. Here's exactly how this conversation went down. I sat down, I go, oh, there's a lady out there who had the most perfect body I've ever seen in a bikini. She's a grandma. She's twice my age, I think. I don't know. I'm not sure. And she said, yeah, but I don't have a butt. Can you believe that? What was your response?
Oh my gosh, I was a little toasted.
Little butts matter too.
I don't remember what my exact response is, but I'm always just thinking about how everybody wants something that they don't have, and that we're constantly comparing ourselves. And I remember now, I think, you can appreciate somebody else's beauty without feeling like it takes away something from yourself. And so if you focus on the things that you're unhappy with, that's all you're going to see. But if you pay attention to the things that you love about your body, not just physically, but what your body does for you, that's how you can kind of start to change and shift that mentality into appreciation.
We're all mirrors of ourselves, though, if you haven't realized it. We all see something in another person that we admire, and sometimes we yet have not realized that we carry it within ourselves and have not come to terms or acceptance of it within ourselves. We're all mirrors. We just don't realize it.
Yes.
We're all interrelated and interconnected one way or another.
We definitely are. All we are is all we are, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so you have a client who comes in and has very low self-esteem, low confidence. Where do you even start with that?
I just shoot them with a whole shitload of love. Seriously, you'd be surprised how fast it works. It penetrates them almost immediately. So I just began to tell them how beautiful they are and how much I appreciate them and how much they're just a beautiful person. And I kind of remind them of a time that the impression that they gave me. And I kind of use it to my advantage because they think I'm amazing. So my opinion matters.
Yeah, it's true. It is true. Yeah, it's true. You can't fight that, because love never fails.
Right.
When you love those people, and my clients too, I'm like, I love you, and they're like, I love you too. And then a couple weeks later, they're like, I love you.
And I'm like, maybe you need a hug. Some people just really actually need a hug, and that solves a lot of problems. So I'll ask, hey, do you need a hug? And that's frowned upon in my profession. You're not supposed to touch your clients. You're not supposed to, but you know what? Maybe that person needed a hug. Yes. And so I'll extend a hug. Hey, do you need a hug today? And they're like, well, damn, yeah. I'm like, well, let's give a hug.
How many seconds I love
Really
20,
brief,
30
really
second
fast.
hugs.
Just a really fast hug, but it lifts the spirit. It really does.
Yeah.
Oxytocin bath.
Right?
Okay. Oh, and by the way, I've got to mention Nana's Crack Cream is what her product is.
Crack cream.
It's Nana's Crack Cream. I've been using this probably, what, do you think 10 years by now? 5, 7, 10?
About 5 or 6 years then.
5 or 6 years, and I swear by Nana's Crack Cream. If I don't have any, I'm like, I'm running out of Nana's Crack Cream, please. So we are gonna get this product out right now. We're in the stages right now of getting this logo, getting the product. So if you are interested, you can call me 702-626-9400 if you're interested, and I'll get you in touch with Oliva and about her product and her beauty line. She is a product expert. The first time I ever met her, I knew her through beauty, just really
Yes,
through beauty,
that worked.
and it is really, truly amazing, and she keeps revising it and inventing and reinventing. So, Nana's Crack Cream, and she actually got this product from her mom, who looks like $1 million, okay? So, let's say someone comes to you, and let's just say your daughter. Let's just go there. Let's just say your daughter. She has a
That is a tough one.
beautiful daughter, incredible voice, amazing girl. And she's saying, Mom, I look like shit today, Mom. I just feel like shit. I feel horrible. Awful.
I tell her to shut up because I'll slap her.
Good Mom.
Love taps.
Yes. I tell her, you really need to just, have you done any self-development? Have you done any self-motivation? What are you doing? Because you are a beautiful young lady. You are talented. You are smart. I mean, you have what it takes, but you have to learn to love yourself. I can't do that for you. I cannot do that for you. You have to learn. There's the tools there for you, and you just need to do it. And you know what is the funny thing? Because when I'm feeling down, she does the same thing. Oh, Mom, stop it. You're beautiful, And it's just a back and forth thing, and it's a beautiful thing, Even my son does, Mom, you look gorgeous. Wow, he'll say something like that. He's going to be 16, So I mean, so that's what I do to her. I always try to encourage her and empower her as a young woman, and help her to look in her strengths, because I think a lot of young women, they just feel so horrible about themselves. I think, they have so many, how do you say it? They're insecure. And I think it is a lot, because these kids nowadays are, they're like glued into this media, Instagram, Facebook, you name it.
Snapchat.
Snapchat,
Twitter.
And this thing, selfies, you gotta look good, and so I think it promotes more of that. You have to look good and you have to be beautiful, and no, you just you are beautiful. You have to know that you are beautiful.
You are beautiful. You have to be. Just be.
Just be.
Okay, so my last question, final question, is what is your go-to that makes you feel like $1 million? Oliva. Just
My
go-to.
go-to?
Makes you feel like $1 million. Feel.
Oh wow. There's quite a few things, but I can't mention them on this radio, whatever. But anyways, I think listening to things that are telling you that you are great, I am powerful, I am, sassy businesswoman, I am, all of these things that you need to build yourself, I think, and that's where I listen to that every day.
Yes, you do, and share it, and she shares it. She's an encourager and shares it.
I share it. I share everything that I feel that is going to help, everyone, and
Well, that's what a healer is, and I believe everybody sitting at this table is a healer. When you find something that heals you and you share it with others, why would you keep that, right? Okay, go to...
So self-love, self-care, I kind of believe that a magnesium lavender bath and candles cures everything
Cures
for me.
everything.
So,
That
sounds wonderful.
self-love. Anything for yourself, caring for yourself. Yoga, so you can be one with yourself. Journaling, so you can get those feelings out if you have no one to talk to, or if you don't feel, comfortable expressing those sort of things to another person. Journaling is really important.
I love that one.
Yeah.
That's a really good one.
I always just ask myself the question, what do I need? Because it changes all the time, and that's just my go-to question. I just feel into myself, ask what do I need in this moment, and then I listen. That's the thing, you have to take action. Ask yourself what do you need, then take action.
Yes.
Like, nap couldn't be the right answer.
It is.
Could it?
Nap is always the
Actually, it's
right
always
answer.
the right answer.
Power nap.
25 minutes.
Yes, nap is always the answer. Your go-to, $1 million.
But my go-to is definitely not a nap. I would definitely say going on a spiritual hike. I typically will take plant medicine such as psilocybin, aka mushrooms, and just feel that interconnectedness with nature, essentially, and just running through all my connections with everybody else, how I see everybody as a facet of myself. Really having that connection with everybody, and just knowing that we are all ultimately one, and we all are brothers and sisters. So that's how I feel like $1 million after I come back from a hike.
So you don't feel so separated from everybody, and they're all 1,000,000 miles away. When I feel like we're one.
The separation
One.
only exists within our social mental construct.
I love that. Your go-to,
That's
Ivy.
I'd say I approach it just like solving any problem. That's, starting with what you said, listening to that voice. I think whatever it is, if it's like, negative self-talk, or if it's like, these fears or anxieties, or if it's things that other people are saying to you, it's like asking why. Like, why did they say that? Why do I think this? And just keep asking yourself why until you get to the root cause. I feel this way because, okay, can I change it? Is it in my control? It isn't? Let it go, right? And that's like, I think the doorway to that, like, acceptance. And it's also the path to, really achieving any goal is to figure out where you want to go, or who you want to be. Like, I don't want to feel like, inadequate, or I don't want to feel like I don't have any confidence, or I do want to be this person, and asking, how do I get there? And constantly, I guess, just asking those questions every step of the way. And definitely there are those days where it's just too much, where, you can't be doing that all the time. It's a really good tool, but it also, you run the risk of, just having yourself under a microscope and just constantly introspecting. Don't do that. What I do is, take a day every like week or every month or so, and, just lay in bed, get Uber Eats, don't leave the house, and just binge Netflix, or do something that doesn't require thinking, or
That's true. Yeah.
That's right.
You gotta give yourself
just
a break.
recharge.
Yes, I love that. I think that's brilliant, beautifully well said, of how we come to terms with ourselves. I
But-
think you guys all said it.
I mean, to add, though, one last thing is, like psilocybin and, psychedelics, or, like all of these different tools, like they're exactly that. It's how do you get into that headspace to really look at yourself from the perspective of someone else?
They're all tools, and she's right. We have tools everywhere.
And I believe that we've all addressed that really well. Is you've got to listen, you've got to make time for yourself. It's how you feel. It's asking those questions. It's getting out, getting away, scheduling time for you. Everybody did an amazing job. I want to tell you guys again, thank you from the bottom of my heart for making this one of my favorite shows so far. I don't say that all the time. This is one of my favorite shows so far. Thank you so much, and I would love to have you guys all back again, because I think we could do this a few times, because I still think there's so much more that would help other people out there. So thank you guys so much. This is Good Medicine. We are here every single week on Tuesday at 11 a.m. Pacific time on WWDB TV in Las Vegas. Bye.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day. It's a new life for me, yeah. It's a new dawn, it's a new day. It's a new life for me. Woo, woo, woo. And I'm feeling good. Fish in the sea, you know how I feel. River running free, you know how I feel. Blossom on the tree, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me, and I'm feeling good. Dragonfly out in the sun, you know what I mean, don't you know? Butterflies all having fun, you know what I mean. Sleep in peace when day is done, that's what I mean. And this old world is a new world and a bold world for me. Yeah, yeah. Stars, when you shine, you know how I feel. Scent of the pine, you know how I feel. Oh, freedom is mine, and I know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life.